March 6th. Ow, my shoulder. March 16th. We are leaving. I have a COVID test at 2 o'clock in Chapel Hill. And we get induced tomorrow. Had to tell Mavs bye. The sheets are on the couch because it's raining. We're headed out. We're staying in a hotel tonight and then we'll be at the hospital tomorrow when they call us. Are you gonna be a big brother? Yeah? Watching Dad load the car. I love you, buddy. So we'll see you later. Come home with a big sister or a little sister. All right, we just got to our hotel. All right, we were supposed to get a call between 7 and 11, and I called up here at quarter to 11, and nobody had called us, and they were like, it could be 1 o'clock before someone called you. So they called us at, what, like 12? Yes, that's what time it is, and Dawson is going to park the car, and I'm here waiting with the bags. It's chilly. It's pretty freaking cold. So yeah, we're doing this. I'm so excited. My face is so swollen. My feet are so swollen. I don't know how people make it to 40 weeks. It's insane. All right, we are in our room. What's up? Nothing's really changed. I was still at a 4 and 60% effaced. And they started Pitocin at 1 o'clock. And they increase it every 30 minutes. So we're up to 14. They started at 2. And I'm having contractions every 2 to 3 minutes, but I'm not on any pain medicine yet. We're sitting on this birthing ball. Anyway, I can't eat, and Jimmy John is over here eating Skittles and had like a Philly cheesesteak and like a 4-course meal, and I'm starving. But the only fun thing that happened is my vein blew, so they had to redo my IV. So now it's in my hand. That sucks. And here we are. Just chilling. Lord have mercy.
We don't need calligraphy to write a fancy story. Kings and queens would turn to thieves to find what we've been holding. You and me, we can take the world.
Anyway, in 2 days, she will be a month old, and life around here has been crazy. So I'm gonna share a little bit of right before we went to the hospital, and then I'll talk about how everything went down. She was not having the being in the crib while I was down here, so this is her. Say hi, friends. Yeah, hi. Hey, Mavs. Okay, you just lay right here. Watch out, buddy. Excuse me. I was induced on March 17th. So the 16th, we left the house. We went to Raleigh or Chapel Hill. I had to get a COVID test, and we just decided to get a hotel that night because they would call us anytime from 7 to 11 the next day and tell us to go in, that there was a room ready. So we just figured we'd be 20 minutes away in Raleigh instead of 2 hours away here. So we got a hotel in Raleigh. We did some shopping. We went to Target. We went and ate, and then just went and chilled and waited until the next day. Hardly sleep that night, and then I woke up that morning at like 6 o'clock. because I was just so excited, you know, like all the nerves and everything. And they were like, we'll call you between 7 and 11. So we went ahead, got up, got ready, and went and got breakfast at Cracker Barrel. And it was like 10:30, and my phone had not rang yet. Here you go. So I called up there, and I was like, hey, you know, I'm getting induced today. I heard that you guys were going to call me between 7 and 11, but it's almost 11, and we haven't heard anything yet. So, like, I just want to make sure I was still on the schedule. And they said that they just were kind of backed up. They didn't have a room right now, but they'd call me when they did, that it could be closer to 3 o'clock. So my parents and our in-laws had a hotel in Chapel Hill, too, since, you know, COVID, they can't be up there. So we went and hung out with my mom and dad. And an hour later, they called at like 12 o'clock, and we checked in at 12:45, and then at 1:30 that afternoon, they started Pitocin, and they started me at like a level 2, and then every 30 minutes, they upped it like 2 levels. So I think I ended up at like a 24 or something. I really don't remember. And then, I'm trying to think. I was on Pitocin until about 9 o'clock at night, and I'm pretty sure I was still on it. I don't know when they took me off. My plan was to have this baby naturally. Who's calling me? Not answering. And the week before that I was induced, they did an ultrasound, like a growth scan, and she was measuring 7 pounds, 15 ounces. So, like, I was safe to have fawn her naturally. So they did the Pitocin and everything. Going into labor, my biggest fear was the epidural and having to have a C-section. Like, no, that just scared me so bad. I didn't realize how bad, like, natural childbirth could be. I did not do that, but my mamas who have given birth with no pain medicine, you guys are like a whole nother level of moms. Like, y'all really deserve like a Grammy. Like, if there's a mom Grammy, that's what you guys get, because they did Pitocin. And at 9:30, I, like, was still at a 4. So I said, just break my water. Like, I'm ready to get this show on the road, okay? It's been a long 9 months. And I didn't think that labor would come on that fast when they broke my water. So I didn't think I needed an epidural before they broke my water. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my God. I underestimated contractions. Like, I had probably like Braxton Hicks, I'd had some small contractions, but the full-on like contractions when your water breaks, that's a whole nother level, like a whole other ball game we're talking about here, okay? So let me fix this. It's like they broke my water at 9:30, and like I still hadn't decided, do I want an epidural, do I just, like, I'll listen to my body. As soon as they broke my water and I started having those contractions, I asked my nurse, how fast can the anesthesiologist get in here, because I need that epidural stat, okay? So at 9:30 they broke my water, and then at 10 o'clock Mr. Wonderful came in and put my epidural in. And let me tell you something. If you are like me, I give myself shots like I'm a diabetic. That does not bother me. But the fact that it was going in my back, I just felt like that would be excruciating pain. No, contractions are excruciating pain. The epidural was nothing. Nothing. He said, and I like asked him tons of questions while I'm like sitting here dying, having contractions. I'm like, is that gonna hurt? He said, well, you're gonna feel a pinch. The contractions were so bad. Maybe that's why I didn't feel it. No, I'm not even gonna say that, because you'll hear why later. It's nothing. It literally felt like I wouldn't even say a bee sting. It felt like someone was just literally taking like an acrylic nail and just hit my skin. No, not even near as bad as giving blood or getting like a shot or anything like that. In fact, I was like, are you done? He was like, yeah, it's in. Like, you know, it'll take about 20 minutes to work. I was like, oh my God, 20 minutes. Because it had already been 30 minutes at this point of me having these contractions. I remember in my room, there was a clock on the wall. Me and that clock became best friends because I would just count down the seconds in every contraction. Like, it's going to be over soon. It's going to be over soon. Then the epidural kicked in. And they had me, like, roll on different sides. So that was at, yeah. She loves her passing. That was at 10 o'clock. Okay. So they broke my water, gave me the epidural, and at 3 o'clock, the doctor came in and like checked my cervix and everything, and she was like, all right, we're gonna start pushing. I was like, okay, here we go, we're gonna have this baby. I pushed from 3 a.m. This is the next day, 3 a.m. to 7, like 7:30. And they were like, you're just not making any progress. She was sunny side up, meaning her face was like, she would have come out looking at the sky. To give her a bottle and then sit up while she burped and had the hiccups, and now she's asleep. Maybe she'll stay that way for a little bit because I'm gonna finish this, fold laundry, put her clothes in the laundry, in the wash. Great. Where were we? I pushed from 3 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. All kinds of ways. And they tried to flip her and she just wasn't coming out. So finally, the doctors came in. It was like time for their shift change. So they like told him what was going on. And they were like, all right, we're going to let you push for 1 more hour, and then we're going to have to do a C-section. And I start crying, like freaking out. Because I don't want to have a C-section. I'm like bawling. So then I just finally get my crap together, and I look at Dawson. I'm like, let's just go ahead and have a C-section. Like, I'm not even going to push for another hour because it's been 4 hours and I haven't made any progress. So I was over it. Yeah. This is like the worst part to me. After I've been pushing for 4 hours, like I haven't had time to just like drink water because I've just, like, I thought that she was coming. So then I'm like, okay, I'm so thirsty. Like, I'm just so tired and thirsty. Can I have some drink? And then my nurse tells me, well, actually, you can't have anything to drink before you have a C-section in case you throw up. I'm like, what? You mean to tell me I've pushed for 4 hours and you're not going to let me have anything to drink? She wouldn't even let me, like, put a piece of ice in my mouth and, like, spit it out. It was horrible. So she gave me a piece of chewing gum, which made it worse. And at this point, I'm, like, in total biatch mode because I'm so thirsty. I'm so tired. Mind you, I haven't slept since 6 o'clock the morning before. And my adrenaline is just like finally, it had like kind of worn off, but then it's coming back because I'm getting ready to have surgery. So, yeah, they give me chewing gum and that didn't help. So then she gives me like a wet washcloth. That doesn't help. And then she lets me drink this stuff in this little container that's supposed to like keep me from throwing up. It's supposed to coat my stomach. And I was so mad. I was like, so you're gonna let me drink this, but I can't have any water? And Dawson was like giving me the look, like, shut up. Shut up. They're trying to help. So then they, you know, tell me everything. I think I had to sign some papers. And you like I've never wanted to see an operating room because you kind of, I think you're normally asleep for that stuff, but I don't know, I've never had surgery before. So I like still have this one epidural that's working, but they have to like take it out, and then I think they have to do a new one because it has to be like more for your C-section or whatever. So I'm like in the operating room. Dawson's not in there yet because they have to get everything ready before he can go back, and I'm freaking out. So they do another epidural. So I've had three really of my biggest fears are happening. I had 2 epidurals and a C-section. So at like 8 o'clock-ish was when we kind of went back there, and at 8:53, little P was born. It was just so not like anything I ever planned. But if I had my time to go back, I think I would have had the C-section to begin with, because that was easy. I didn't feel anything. I mean, it felt like someone like was taking your hand and squeezing your hand, but in your stomach. So you don't feel like any really pain or anything. I mean, of course your incision hurts afterwards, but they give you medicine for that. The epidural was nothing. But after labor was when things got really, really fun. So after she's born, you know, we like go back to the room, and I'm just like, okay, yes, like this is normal. We're ready to have normal, what I thought in my head was gonna happen. And I fed the baby, we did formula, so I fed the baby, and then like the nurse comes in and checks on the baby, and her blood sugar is low. So then they give her like some, I don't know, gel stuff. I don't remember what it was. And they check her again, and her blood sugar is still low. So they move her to the NICU, and they move me to the postpartum floor. And I'm like a basket case, because she, when she was born, they thought she was only 7 pounds and 15 ounces, you know. The reason she wasn't coming out is because she was 9 pounds, 12 ounces. Yeah, that's why she wasn't coming out. Which they say, you know, the small babies and the bigger babies are the ones that normally need NICU time at like full term, because they just do. I don't know why. They just told me that. I don't know why. So she was in the NICU, and they moved me and Dawson to the postpartum floor, which is up a floor. And I finally like get some food, but I can't move my legs, and my baby's not in the room. Our baby's not in the room, and that's like insanely difficult. Then we knew there was going to be bad weather at home that day, so we were like making sure that someone was here, you know, if they needed to come over and get the dog, or like if something were to happen to the house, whatever. They come over the intercom, and they're like, all right, we need everyone to get in the hallways because there's a tornado warning, which means there's one nearby, like an actual tornado. And my baby is on the floor below me in the NICU. When I tell you, like, this whole new animal came out in me that I've never felt, heard, seen before. It was bad. It was bad. I think Dawson saw a different side of me, because I was like crying, hyperventilating almost. But I couldn't do anything about it. And I felt just so helpless, because I couldn't get on the elevator, and I couldn't walk. I couldn't even get out of bed. And the nurse is like, all right, we need to get you in the hallway. And I'm yelling at her like, I can't walk. I can't move my legs. How do you expect me? And I'm just like crying and like, I can't breathe. It's horrible. And then you just look out the window and you see this dark, like eerie sky. I just imagine if you enter the gates of hell, like I feel like that's this much of what that would feel like, because I felt like that. So Yeah, that's a sad story. She stayed in the NICU for 3 days, and then she's finally out of the NICU in our rooms, and we're like, we could be going home tomorrow. No, my blood pressure spiked, so they had to take us back to the labor and delivery floor and monitor me, and then they monitored me. The next day, we go back to the postpartum floor. I had some MRIs and an x-ray done for my elbow, which is another story. We go from labor and delivery to postpartum when she's in the NICU. Then back to labor and delivery for my blood pressure. My blood pressure stabilizes. We go back to the postpartum floor. That night, the next night, we go back to labor and delivery because my blood pressure does something crazy again and goes high. And they have to put me on a magnesium drip. So, like, I can't get out of the bed or anything because it puts you at risk for having a seizure. It was just, it was so crazy. So crazy. Then we go back to the antepartum floor where a nurse can, like, keep a close eye on me, blah, blah, blah. They can still give me the magnesium. And then the next day we're discharged. So after I have a biopsy on my elbow. So we were in the hospital for 6 days. 6 days. And finally on day 5, I told my nurse, I was like, can you, like, wheel me outside? So she does. Bless her heart. I had the best nurses. Even though my, like, overall experience kind of sucked, my nurses were incredible. Just so good. So nice. Like, I wish I could find them on Facebook or something and just be like, it's me. Because the crazy thing is, my nurses that I had while I was in labor and delivery the first time, because I was there so long, I had, like, the same nurses twice. And they were like, you're back. I'm like, yeah, I'm back. It's me again. So they got to see me, like, 2 times, 3 times. One nurse, so I went to the hospital 3 times before I delivered. One of my nurses saw me 3 times. So she saw me in triage when I thought my water broke. Then my OB sent me to the hospital for elevated blood pressure, not severe. She saw me then. And then she saw me when I was back on the labor and delivery floor for my blood pressure being high. So that was crazy. Then one of my nurses, she saw me while I was pushing. She was in the room for my C-section, and she did my care while I was on the magnesium drip. So just wild. I feel like, you know, I just got to spend a lot of time with my nurses. So we finally left the hospital. Finally. They, like, my blood pressure finally came down. They started me on some blood pressure medicine. Sent us home. And the next day I was back at the hospital in triage. Just because they needed to increase my blood pressure medicine and put me on 2 pills a day because my blood pressure spiked again while we were at home. But they sent us home that night. And they were like, just take 1 in the morning and 1 12 hours later. But within a week, I came off my blood pressure medicine, so that was cool. That's how labor and delivery went. And here are just some fun clips from us being home. And yes, there's some stuff going on with my elbow. Yes, we have, like, a whole slew of things going on with that sucks and is, like, taking us into this whole new chapter of life. Really just a season that we're going to have to get through, but I will share more on that later. Other than that, life at home has been crazy. I haven't felt the best. They had to give me a unit of blood in the hospital because my hemoglobin was really low, so that's made me feel crappy. But other than that, I mean, it wasn't the experience that I had in my mind, but it was okay. And she's here and she's healthy, and that's all that matters. So If you enjoyed this vlog, make sure you hit like and subscribe so you can catch my next one when I guess I'll share all that's going on with me now that we're home and what this next chapter of life looks like for us. And that's it.